Has this ever happened to you?
Oh my god, I have no games to play and I don't want to play the same stuff I always do.
Or have you been in this relatable situation? Well, not to worry. Introducing demos. For the low price of free, you too can get hyped for some interesting games you might actually want to play in the future. Don't believe me? Here's some happy customer testimonials. At first, I didn't want to grind my daily slop games for the 67th time, but then Steam demos came along, and now I'm super happy I got to diversify my experience. Thank you, random salesperson.
It killed my wife. It killed my children. My house has been burned down, and all of my prized possessions are now gone. I have nothing left to lose in this life. But this coin pusher is pretty fun, so that's okay.
Hang on, am I getting paid to say something?
Not in the slightest. Just look at this other happy customer that we caught live on camera. So, what are you waiting for? Grab a demo of any size and get to finding your new next game today. I got nothing else to do. That's right, you don't. Hello everyone. While the Hunt on video is working its magic, I wanted to do another experimental style of video going over some demos that might interest you. I handpicked 5 of these games from past Steam Next Fests, and I hope that you enjoy them. Before we go over though, here are some ground rules for what I played. The first rule is that I will play each game to completion, or at least for an hour. This means that if there are some games that have an infinite gameplay loop, they will have a good amount of time for me to get a good grasp of. Each section will be about 2 to 3 minutes long, unless I say so. Stuttering bugs will be forgiven for most of these demos just because they're not full games. Remember, these are people showing off their work for free in an alpha or beta build, so respect that. Well, with that out of the way, let's jump into some games that might interest you, starting off with... First up is Reanimal. All that I know is that the developer, Tarsier, stopped developing Little Nightmares for Bandai Namco, but they still had some other ideas for a world that could be fleshed out similarly to that game. And holy hell, what a start to your independent dev career. My time spent playing this game was around midnight, and that was honestly the best choice I could have made, letting the eerily oppressive atmosphere soak in as I trudged through as these 2 new characters that are similar to Mono and Six, but still really interesting. Control-wise, if you know Little Nightmares, these controls are the exact same from that game. Run, jump, hide, try not to fight. You are the prey for the predator, not the other way around. And even with a small glimpse that lasted about 30 minutes, I want to know more about this world. Like, what is that? What was that? And what in the ever-loving fuck is this? By the time that the final chase started, I was gearing to make an escape only seen in the games that I've played like Amnesia the Bunker years ago. And then the demo just... Art direction is excellent, the atmosphere is top tier, and I was scared and thoroughly creeped out. But the highest praise I can give this game is that I have pre-ordered it. Yep. This game is technically going to be available in February, and I cannot wait to play it. As the new year approaches for new horror games to try and scare me, I can definitely see already this one being at the top of the list. The only thing I would say criticism-wise is that the performance does tank a little bit in loading some areas that wasn't really seen in the original Little Nightmares. But besides that, I can forgive it because of it's a technical flaw. Please, I really cannot wait for this release, and I hope that it sticks the landing. Next, we got this boomer shooter created by Ironwork Games called The Last Exterminator. You play as Kira Parker, a down-on-luck exterminator that just when you think it isn't going to get any worse, an alien bug invasion hits Earth and now you have to stop them. With the help of 4 weapons and a pretty decent-sized level for the demo, shoot and punch your way through the city while trying to make a quick buck. I'm always a sucker for FPS games, especially within this style. Guns feel weighty, except for the shotgun, and all sort of have an alt fire, which is very similar to Blood. And while there were only 3 enemy types, that being the pistol bug, shotgun bug, and the charging rhino bug, each one of them did provide a decent challenge. Also, if you decide to play, I would suggest playing on hard. I'm not trying to flaunt my own ego here, but I think that hard is actually the pretty good balance between ammo pickups, enemy damage, and enemy placement. So there was definitely some thought put into that, and it's not going to be a bullet sponge fest like it is in Blood or any other boomer shooter. Lastly, the level design and the visual style. It does replicate that maybe like 3DO/retro gaming style while still having some modern flair, and the level design complemented it pretty well. You go into buildings, you weave around alleyways, and you see some really cool destruction that I have to give praise for. And by the end of it, I was pleasantly surprised. But then, did they get the developer console in? I discovered the developer console was left in, so I had to look around. And then the sense of humor that the dev left in the corners of the map was very entertaining. Also, this game has a nice tongue-in-cheek style with its humor, and even has cameos by Gianni Ultra Goon Furry himself. If you know, you know. I will still recommend this game, but I am worried that the dev hasn't updated anything in like 2 years, and hopefully is still working on the game. This might be because they're actually creating their own engine from scratch, not using any of the preset engines that many devs use, but I wish you the best of luck. If not, it's a shame that it was left like this, but at the end of the day, it was still a very good demo. Recommend.
Come on, you bastards!
Road to Vostok is an upcoming early access survival game about surviving the post-apocalypse developed by Auntie. I think I'm pronouncing that right. This throws you into the deep summer or winter of Vostok, a city bordering on Sweden or Russia. Scavenge for supplies, fight to live for another day, and wonder why the fuck the vendor is asking for anti-itch cream and toilet paper. Like, oh my god, man. But of course, barring the Sweden part, you might think that this game is trying to be Tarkov. But after playing this for about an hour, I found myself oddly engaged with more of the survival mechanics. You really have to go out of your way for scavenging food and supplies instead of going to a zone already pre-armed like in Tarkov. It's still the same, but you're basically going back to your house whenever you can, just because you have to deal with food, water, health, and temperature. In addition, it does want you to try and go out to different places, and while I did start in the beginning zone where there were mostly just bandits, it did make me explore around and figure out where things were, especially the trader called the Generalist. The way that traders work is that he sells various goods that rotate on a 10-minute basis, but instead of actually carrying currency, you have to trade other items for them for a specific value. After all, in a world where currency has gone down the toilet, trading items with a hypothetical value for others is a fair exchange. Strangely, this also reminds me that the other European survival game Darkwood did something similar. Anyways, besides this element, there are some other areas that I haven't explored but have more generous loot and harder enemies to kill. And besides that, the gun system almost feels like Stalker and Tarkov had a baby. Let me explain. You can have the regular bells and whistles like checking ammo, switching firing modes, loading your magazines manually with bullets, but on the other hand, you have the bolt actions and the pump action shotguns. Instead of pressing R and letting the game do the work, you have to load each round manually and rack each round by the R key. At first, I was questioning why the hell you would use these, but then I remembered that other guns aren't as easy to come by, even pistols. So, especially in the first area, I think that both of these options could add an interesting element of gameplay. But before the hour was up, I spent my time trying to decorate the small shack near the lake to be comfy. I removed the table, put up a curtain or two, and put down a rug I bought from the trader. Each item you acquire isn't transferred into a storage, so you have to come back and do it yourself. So I started to use the shelves that were provided to me for food and ammo. So after a long day, I could come back and relax or sleep off the night, knowing that time doesn't automatically advance. It started to feel like home, and that's the vibe I got from this game. Despite its stressful nature of going out scavenging, knowing that one cheeky breaky could kill me at any moment, it felt nice to roam around the snowy countryside. There were limits on what I didn't want to explore past the beginning area, but from the animations, the world, and the one character giving me side quests, I was interested to see where this game is going in the future, especially that it might release this year. So, overall, a positive recommendation. It isn't Tarkov in my 1 hour of playtime, but it does not have to be.
We got Crystal, Theater of Idols. I have no idea what this is about.
Okay, I have some thoughts about this game, but I'd want to mention one thing quickly. This game has no FOV slider. It is a demo, and it is nitpicking, but a shooter without an FOV slider in 2026 is not a great move. I'm just saying. Anyways, Crystal, Theater of Idols is developed by Reanimal Studios. You play as Gabriel, a soldier who has traveled to Tormentosa to uncover the dark secrets hiding within this island in a twisted version of Spain. Along the way, they picked up a weapon that uses blood as ammunition, so fighting off the twisted puppets and avoiding worse dangers, you have to keep your life and wits about you to figure out what's going on in this island. The area that they showed off in the demo involves Gabriel getting a new gun, fighting enemies using unique mechanics built into the game, but starting with the visuals, I could see a mix of traditional Spanish architecture and more like Liza P into this world. Storefronts are thoroughly detailed and made me want to explore it more, and the audio was also nicely done too. The combat for the enemies had me attacking the head only to realize they were tanky and still moved after hitting various body parts, so you had to parry them with a knife, but I also had this funny moment. Okay, that's kind of funny. They try and kick you. Okay, that's funny. That's funny. Also, there is this big enemy thing that looks like a puppet, and it actually has a really cool design. But besides that, I found myself scratching my head and being underwhelmed by this demo. The mechanic for blood as ammo is a really great shakeup for the kind of game this wants to be, but with some of the run-of-the-mill gameplay and very simple combat, it's almost like it's wanting to be a survival horror game, but is more aiming towards Bioshock. Actually, going off the Bioshock comparison just now, I think it's more similar to Infinite. Really cool visuals, very simplistic gameplay and not much else to back it up besides its world. I don't wish to be too hateful on this game. For good news, I can at least say that Blumhouse has picked them up as a publisher, and I think that could be really good for helping them iron out all the kinks and wanting to actually get the vision that they want. But I will say I still remain somewhat unimpressed by the demo. There really is a lot of work that has been put in by the team, but until then, I can't really give this a recommendation unless you really like the aesthetic. But I wish the team best of luck for creating the game that they want. What the fuck are you? What in the fuck? It's a funny thing about this last game. Originally, there was another game that was supposed to be on this list called Rat Coin. It was a coin pusher roguelike that looked really interesting, and I downloaded it in December. But by the time I came to make this video, I can't access the demo because it was timed. But until then, we have Subliminal, created by Accidental Studios. This game has a very simple premise, and it is similar to horror games like Layers of Fear and Amnesia: The Dark Descent, but having more visual polish and atmosphere to actually back it up. You play as Caleb, someone being monitored by the outside group of scientists that relive Caleb's best memories. Narrated by Max Howarth, the same guy who voiced Subliminal, by the way, you have to traverse through memories that might hold something deep and nefarious within them. Best thing I can say first is that this game is made in Unreal Engine 5 and it runs very well. I usually prefer style over bloated graphics in this day and age, but in case where limitations of the memories could come into play, they pulled it off really nicely. Even in the first room that you really spawn into, you can find fake products, interactables, high quality textures, and nice reflections. And even later, there's this water park that you can go to, and hot damn, that looks like some of the most drinkable water on the planet. Finally, Whopper. And finally, the horror. Of course, I just want to say that horror is entirely subjective. One thing that might scare you might not scare me, but I at least know that a game is doing a good job with its scares if the game is immersing me in a way that it's not wanting to be distracted by other things, almost dulling the senses, as it were, to focus in on the screen. And in this case, there's a section that you could ignore with the narrator to end up in this huge child's play area. You're crawling around, going down slides at this really dark and oppressive atmosphere. And then... I gotta be honest, it was a good scare. The monster looking back is a little goofy, but the scare definitely got me. Besides that, there's really not much else to say. My only hope is that this game does provide a variety of locations throughout Caleb's childhood, and maybe some more interesting puzzles to run into. I would say the biggest thing that I would say is communication should be key for these devs, especially that in the past that they had trouble trying to communicate how this game was actually being made with people saying that it was a scam. I guess my biggest hope is that the game isn't too simplistic that it ends up boring me. I don't want to call something automatically slop just because of the overbloated genre that it's in, but if the devs can make this game stand out on its own, I think that it could revive a little bit of the genre, especially with the liminal aspects of game. But since it's the demo, it's clear that they focus on the amazing environment, and I'm all for that. This game releases in March, so hopefully I can play more then. But until then, it's okay. I liked it. And that's it. All these demos were fun and amazing in their own right, but the standout was being Reanimal just because of its pre-order. I will link all these in the description below in order to support the devs, and if you like this kind of video, let me know and I might do another one for next month. Besides that, that's all I got. So, if you stuck around to the end, oh my god, I have to do this. Hit the subscribe button and like, notifications or whatever, just because you have probably more important to pay attention to anyways, but it does help support me. Until then, I'm not sure if the hunt video is going to come out next week, but see you then. Stay warm, stay classy, and stay you. Goodbye.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, play with my balls. Play with my balls.